Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Wow, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. We're going to talk about something that I think is dear and near to all of us, regardless of your age, regardless of it's trying to be the best you that you can be. And a lot of times, in order to achieve that, we have to make sure that we select our role models, the right role models. That's we're going to learn from, going to educate us, and going to teach us. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm so excited to have this panel. A wonderful panel that's going to be on the show today. And so I tell you what, I want everybody to sit back, grab you about 10 bags of popcorn, and if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on and ask any questions that you might have. And I promise you, we'll get you an answer. I can't even start a show without bringing on this absolutely beautiful queen of mine, who is the executive producer and the co-host of the show. How are you doing, Dr. Michelle Cooley?
I'm doing great. I am so excited about the guest panelists we have on the show today, and also about the topic about role models. Who are you emulating? I mean, role models is sometimes just used, really just as a matter of fact. It's like saying thank you, thank you, thank you. But you really have to, young people, all people, have to really realistically look at their role models and have realistic expectations. There's pros and cons to having a role model, but I think it's all about, James, really setting realistic expectations. So that's where I'm going with that.
You're absolutely right. We have to pick and choose our role models carefully. And we got a whole lot of role models that's going to be joining us here today. So we're going to do it a little bit different. Michelle, can you introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show? And we're going to have each one of these role models give a quick 45 seconds or 1 minute overview of themselves. So can you do that?
Okay. Well, the title of the show again is Role Models. Who are you emulating? And we're discussing the pros and cons of emulating your role models, how role models do inspire and motivate you, but also discuss unrealistic expectations and ethical considerations regarding these role models. So we have a really great guest panelist today. We have Dr. Frederick Johnson. We have Dr. Rachel on the show, Dr. Terry on the show, Tim Grant on the show, and Coach D. Sean Burns on the show. And they are some amazing role models, but we're going to talk about, their take and on this particular subject. So please introduce yourself briefly, 30 seconds or less.
Well, now let's give him 45 seconds. We'll start with Coach Deshaun first. Coach Deshaun, can you tell our viewers and our listeners and the other panelists who you are?
I'm Coach Deshaun Burns. I'm a son. I'm a father of three. I am a football coach now at Linfield Christian High School. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to coach at every level except youth league. I'm a college graduate. I am an uncle, and I'm a brother. I've been blessed to coach at the University of Florida, USC, Texas Southern, the Washington Redskins, the Eagles, the 49ers, and a host of collegiate all-star games that prepare you for the draft. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Dr. Tim Grant.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim. I let's see, what can I say? I'm kind of in between. I got tossed out of my career a few years ago when I had a tough medical diagnosis, and I'm still struggling back from. But I graduated from UCLA and went on to get a master's, and then on to law school. And when I was working in my career, I spent a lot of time in private equity and large publicly held companies, as well as smaller companies, working on either acquisition, divestment, turnaround, expansion, managing growth, which can be a lot more challenging, be the most challenging phase. And I'm delighted for the topic today because I was blessed to have a number of solid mentors in my life when I needed them at various stages. And Michelle, you made a comment on the intro about also talk about unrealistic expectations. And I'm excited to get into that part of the conversation too, because as usual, Michelle, you've always got a little twist in the topic that I think is going to be interesting. So glad to be with you all today.
Okay. Dr. Terry Spain.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terry Spain. I'm originally from Conway, South Carolina, right next to Myrtle Beach, for a lot of folks that have never heard of Conway. I'm a United States Navy veteran. I did 21 years in the world's greatest Navy. I live here in Florida now. I'm also a sports commentator. I do a lot of stuff with professional and collegiate sports. And I'm an author. And I'm excited about this topic because if it wasn't for the role models that I had, I wouldn't be here today.
Dr. Rachel McGlaster.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So yes, I am Dr. Rachel McGlaston. I am a mother of two little ones. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. I'm a homemaker. I'm a business owner. I am a professor. I teach sociology and education, an entrepreneur, and a big dreamer. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about our topic today. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Fred Johnson.
Wow, I didn't realize everybody had all those jobs like I did. I thought I was the only one. So I'm in good company. It makes me feel good. My name is Frederick Johnson, and I live here in Southern California. Matter of fact, I live right down the street from my good friend JC and Michelle Cooley. Been knowing them for a long time. Great inspiration and role models for me. I have a PhD from Claremont Graduate University in Information Systems, a master's from Boston University, and a BA from Marquette University in Economics. I teach at the London School of Economics part-time, so I lecture there in Manufacturing Information Systems. My full-time job is supporting digital transformation in biopharma. So I work with a lot of biopharma organizations from around the world. I've traveled, did a lot of these different things. I am a father of two. I have a 9-year-old, one who's about to be 9-year-old on March 4th or March 3rd, and then a 10-year-old. I do a lot of things. I'm active with my church. I have my own small business, and I also have a kind of a think tank where I author and write research and do publications and things of that nature. So I'm very happy to be here amongst these people. I'm kind of, again, just I think this is a wonderful topic, and I'd like to give some insights to that as well, especially the topics that Michelle talked about.
Wow. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Michelle. She's going to, orchestrate this, and you know how she is. So, Michelle, you got it.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the pros, because I already talked about earlier the pros and cons. So let's start with Dr. Rachel, since you are new to the show. Thank you for taking time. Dr. Rachel, how can positive role models influence individuals to adopt ethical and moral values, in your opinion?
Yeah, so when I was thinking about this topic, there's this concept in sociology called social contagion. And basically it's this idea that as social creatures, we almost by osmosis, we take on the values and beliefs and emotions of those that we surround ourselves with. And so when I'm thinking about how role models influence our ethics and morals and values, we really become that which we see. We're emulating the people that we surround ourselves with. So whether that means you're surrounding yourself with people that are doing things that maybe don't pull out and magnetize the highest version of yourself, or the opposite, you're surrounding yourself with people that you aspire to be like. One way or the other, you're going to be like the people that you're surrounded by. And so if you're in a space in your life where you're hoping to become a better version of yourself, I think it's really important to find people that are living the values and ethics and morals that you are hoping to embody.
Thank you, Dr. Rachel.
Yeah.
Dr. Frederick Johnson. So let's talk about, role models motivating individuals to strive for personal and professional success. We all have jobs, we all have careers, and there could have been somebody in your career field, in your office, whether it's your boss, your manager, or a coworker, that their success or the attributes that they have exhibited to get successful, you may have admired. So my question to you, Dr. Frederick, is in what ways do those role models motivate individuals to strive for personal as well as professional success?
That's a great question. So years ago, when I was struggling to figure out where I wanted to go with my career, there's this guy by the name of Robert J. Hollingsworth, and he was one of the top performing African-American production managers or plant managers in the Chrysler Corporation. He took me in as an intern, and Bob and I really had a really good relationship. And one of the things that he did for me was he removed certain things in my mind. And he told me, he says, you can never come in my office and tell me that somebody's not going to do anything for you because of your color of your skin. You're going to have to figure out another way. So when I look at that, in the beginning, you have to find, there has to be a relationship between you and your mentor, or you and the person you want to emulate. There has to be something there, that there's a connection. And that connection for me was that I believe Bob and I kind of had the same demeanor. We kind of come from the same environment. He was from Detroit. I was from, southern part of southwestern Wisconsin. We were, kind of strong-willed. But what the most important thing that I saw was that he just didn't train me, but he sent me out, gave me assignments. We came back and we reported. I actually had standing time on his calendar, literally. And if I didn't show up, I was getting a call on the radio, Fred, where are you at? And we would come and he would debrief. And over a period of about 18 months, we developed a solid relationship. And through that relationship, he just basically trained me and taught me the business behind the business. I could never get that kind of thing from an MBA, ever. The other thing that he gave me was the insight of what he had to deal with as an African-American man, what he had to deal with in corporate America, and then some other different things in terms of like financial and things like that. So that he says, when you have certain financial things are taken care of in your life, Fred, you're not afraid to stand up at work. But when you need this job and people know you need this job, it's a different kind of relationship. So he broke it all down to me, to the point where the advice that he gave me helped me financially, not just in my career. I mean, I owned real estate at a very young age, and he just motivated me because I think he saw something in me. I think we were along the same parallels. I think I was like, at the time, 27, 28 years old. And I think he saw that in me. Now, here's the other thing.
Hey, Fred.
Oh, yes, sir.
Hold that thought.
Yes, sir.
We got to take a station break.
Oh, okay. My fault.
So, so we're going to come back to it. We're going to let you finish your thought. So wherever you're watching us at, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform, ask any questions that you might have, and during the break, won't you replenish your popcorn? Because I know you're almost already out, but the movie just started. So if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just join us, comments portion, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are, and one that keeps us close when we're apart. Talking from the darkness of all that we've been through, it seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live in
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, just the intro section. That's what we always do with the first segment. Is get an opportunity to know our guests, and we're gonna pick that up again because we still got a lot of stuff going on. And I tell you, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any questions that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Hey, Fred, I'm going to give you an opportunity to finish up about 30 seconds.
Yes, sir.
That question. So didn't mean to cut you off, but we have to pay the bills.
Yeah. So the kind of to tie that up, I guess the inspiration really is that, you know, being able to find somebody who kind of grew up the same way you were, kind of like-minded, and then that person and you making a professional connection, that person mentor you and giving you advice, and then you taking that advice and more or less applying it, and then seeing the results and the fruits of that, and over a period of time, seeing the growth. And so over a period of time, we still stay connected, and many of the things that he's kind of helped me with have made me who I am today. So I think the inspiration is being able to make that professional connection with somebody who is like you, and that mentoring opportunity and the growth in future. So
Thank you, Dr. Frederick. Dr. Terry Spain, how are you doing today? Can you hear me?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. I had to unmute myself.
That's okay. So, let's say you're a role model and, you're assisting somebody to set individual, realistic and meaningful goals. How do you to make sure the goals are really achievable, realistic? Because everybody is different and they have a certain different character and qualities within them. They can be smart and intelligent, but maybe this is not the path that might be for them. So as a role model, how do you have that conversation with somebody if they're setting goals or they're coming to you, say, I want to do this, Dr. Terry, but in your mind, by spending time with them, this may not be it.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and one of the things that I normally do is when I try to assist people, I first of all I tell them, let's set realistic goals. You could say, yeah, I want to be an astronaut, but if you haven't did anything to become an astronaut, I'll shape it in another form and say, hey, let's just start out by trying to work at NASA, and then work your way up and see if that's something that interests you. But one of the things that I normally do is I usually have people write their goals down, and I explain to them, I say, hey, if this is something that you truly want to do, you'll achieve it. You'll go and do whatever you need to do to achieve those goals. But I usually sit them down, talk to them, and if I get a feel for them and I say, hey, you ever thought about doing it this way versus doing it that way, just to try to not deter them from, wanting to do their goals or crush their dreams or what have you. But one of the things that I also do is give them options and say, hey, instead of you being in the NBA or in the NFL, have you ever thought about being a sports agent? Have you ever thought about being a a radiology technician or something that is still equivalent to sports or anything in that manner, something that they are willing to do or something that they're open to doing. I like to give people options instead of just sticking to one particular goal.
Thank you, Dr. Terry. Deshaun Burns, and we are talking about, of course, role models. Who are you emulating? You know, what we see on television or the movies, or is everyone being perfect? How important as a role model is to maybe show imperfections, to like share your journeys and mistakes, the ones that you're comfortable to share, so that the person who's emulating you or sees you as a role model doesn't always just see perfection, but they're setting realistic expectations.
That's a great question. Excuse me if there's a little background noise. I'm currently at school. We have a couple kids going by, but to get to the question, I know this being an academic environment, kids are not dumb. People are not dumb. And what they want is real. So if you have the ability to be real and they can see through the fluff, then they'll respect that. And I don't know so much as if I set out or if a person sets out to be a role model, as opposed to they set out just to live in a sense of truism, right? And instead of in a sense of authenticity. And so if I'm able to be real with you and open and honest, then I think they'll gravitate to that. So I've found, in a nutshell, that being real and being open tends to make people gravitate to want to know more about and emulate what you're doing.
Thank you, Coach Deshaun. Clem Johnson, Dr. Clem Johnson, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, Dr. Michelle Cooley.
Oh, well, my question to you is, how can a diverse range of role models promote inclusivity, I can't pronounce it, inclusivity and cultural understanding? Because sometimes I would say some people gravitate to people who are like them, you know, whether it's the same nationality or it's the same within the same community. But how important do you think it is to diversify your role models? I mean, you don't want to pick anybody, but how to be open to see other people who are unlike you as a role model? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's important, but for a progressive person with an aggressive viewpoint, such as our younger generation, that's just a not natural progression of life and a natural progression of people that they would see in key positions that interest them. And the diversity just happens because they're operating in a diverse environment, such as their environment at school, their environment at work, their family environment, and so forth and so on. For those that aren't in those environments, it's important for them to join organizations that have a diverse set of characters and to be able to find someone that kind of matches what their skill set is or what their ambition set is. And again, if they're progressive and they're not within an environment to where they have a diverse set of people, putting yourself in that environment will help a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Clem. Dr. Clem.
Hey, Michelle.
Yes.
What I like to do is get to some of these questions first, and then pick it up. And we got Tiana that's asking a question. Her question is, what point in your life made you decide you want to be a role model for others? Let's go with
Tim.
Let's go with Tim on that one.
Great question. I think for me, it was after I had, and I'd love to pick up on some of the comments I was thinking about Coach Burns's comment, but and others. But I think for me, it was after I had a mentor and several mentors through high school that were really, very influential in my life. Both naval officers, both 06s, reserve and active duty. And I think in what's really interesting is one of those individuals, I ended up and am now currently the trustee for his granddaughter. And so I'm really, he's deceased now, but I'm very proud of her, and I stop and smile sometimes when I think that the man who was influential in my life then entrusted me to take financial and legal responsibility for his granddaughter. And I'm now giving back directly to his family in a way that I benefited. And I realized, well, I'm doing exactly the same thing. And I hope he's proud of what I'm doing. He did a lot for me up until the day he died, and I was with him when he passed. But to be connected now to his granddaughter doing the same thing makes me very, very proud of her as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Mecca McGlaston, she mentioned, can you talk about...
I think that's the doctor's sister at it.
Well, it could be a coincidence. So we'll just turn this over to Dr. Rachel. Can you talk about the importance to having role models for and in different areas in your life? For example, work, careers, relationships, faith, and family. Dr. Rachel?
I would love to answer this, and I feel like my little sister hears me run my mouth about this stuff all the time. So she might want a different perspective, but kind of quickly, I think it's really important to have different role models for all the different areas of your life, because just like in your friendships and your other interpersonal relationships, one person can't be everything for you. And so when you're thinking about the best version of yourself or the highest version of yourself in all areas of your life, you want to have people that are doing the things that you want to be doing in all of those different areas. So I think, for work, you want to try and find people at various levels, right? So if you have big career aspirations and maybe one day you want to be like a C-suite executive, I think it's important to have people that are at different stages of their careers to be your role models. And then in terms of your relationships, surround yourself with, friends and other couples that have that energy that makes you feel good when you're with them. And then same thing for faith and family. I think it's just important to always be on the lookout for a variety of mentors and role models.
Let me add a little bit to that from a different perspective. And Mika, the way you got that, yes, for each one of the different examples that you asked, and everybody do not fit each one of them. So I believe that we have to pick and choose our friends carefully. We have to pick and choose the folks. I mean, everybody shouldn't be going telling everybody about their marriage and all this other type of stuff, because they might not be the right person or whatever that might mean to you. So it's we just have to be coherent enough, I believe, to be able to sense the right role model, the right people that we trust with our thoughts, our ideals, and how our mind is going to be shaped. So that was an absolutely wonderful, wonderful question. We got to take a station break. We're just heating up. We're just not heating up. So if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. We got questions coming in, and I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you short after break.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a
Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be on it, to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, the first two segments that we just experienced is absolutely wonderful. As you see, we got a total group of professionals here that's bringing different points of views and everything that they are doing, which I know relates to many things that we are doing as people in general. And sometimes I think it's required to have different thoughts, different points of views, get an understanding from different folks. Just like what Dr. Rachel says. My little sister, she listens to me all the time now, but I think she needs somebody else's point of view. And a lot of times it's like that because it's different when it comes to the family. And trust me, I know, and Terry, you know as well, So, but I think that the skill sets that we have on this show today, it's just to continue to bring it. So, audiences, if I mention to you again, you already know all you have to do is just go to the comments and ask any question that you might have. We'll get you an answer. I want to change this up just a little bit. I want to talk about some of the cons with role models. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything is not always good, especially when you pick the wrong person or wrong persons for the wrong reason. And if you goal oriented and you pick somebody that has no goals, no direction, none of this stuff, you're going to become frustrated and you're going to veer off course. So, in what ways can having role models lead to unrealistic expectations, potentially causing disappointment? I want to start off with Coach Deshaun Burns, because I've been working with you a long time, and you work with a lot of kids and putting a lot of kids in the pros and colleges and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that that question is geared towards you.
Yes. I think that there's an unrealistic expectation for a role model to be the developed character, right, or the problems. And I think sometimes we as people misconstrue the model is to provide the answer for life. I think it's safer when we look at a person and say, okay, there's some things that they do well that I aspire to get done, and how do they do that? But I think what happens, to be more precise with the question, is that the negativity is it becomes an onus for the role model to raise people that they are being followed by or looked by. And as Charles Barkley put it years ago, the role model job is not to raise the child, and I think I'm paraphrasing what he said, because they're human. And if my role model is, and I'm trying to be like Mike, if you will, that's probably not the best thing for me to do, try to be like Mike. I need to be like Deshaun. Now, Mike does some stuff that I like, but me trying to be like Mike, that's probably not working well. So I think the negativity comes from when we put a lot of onus on, we need to be, I want to be like Marvin Lewis, who was a strong mentor of mine, and I love me some Marvin. I love me some Mike Singletary. However, they are not going to raise me in a profession or develop me. Like they're not going to do that. I got to be my best and learn how they got to do some things that they did. If that answers your question.
That did. Hey, Dr. Fred, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have to agree with Deshaun is talking about, but I have to also add in there value systems. A lot of times we may, find a person that is a role model, but their value systems may not line with our value systems. How they got to where they got is one way, right? But how you want to get to that goal or where you want to get in the future is a different way. Now, when I think about value systems, I think about integrity. I think about, how I treat people. I think about how I show up. I think about a number of different things that are coming from me. Now, when I think about a role model, does that role model share those same value systems with me? Do we have that in common, and can I pattern myself after that? So some of the negative or the cons would be is that, yeah, that'd be a great role model, like the movie Wall Street, right? That guy was making lots of money, right? For somebody, he's a great Wall Street, but not for me, right? Not for me, because the way he did what he did, that's not where I want to be successful that way. So the cons is that if you pick the role model, you don't have your value systems in line, you could run into some problems that way.
Wow. That was a great example. I thought it was a great movie.
It
was. Hey, Dr. Terry Spain, give me your points.
Yeah, I echo the same sentiments as everyone else, but Coach D mentioned something that was that I was definitely going to say, because I definitely was going to talk about Charles Barkley and how he was saying, I am not your role model. And you know what? He shouldn't have to be. One of the things that I always tell people, if you can't, in your community, if you can't find someone that a kid can look up to, then we failed as a society. So putting the pressure on these athletes, putting the pressures on entertainers, yes. They're human, like Deshaun mentioned before. They're going to make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, they usually oftentimes get held to a higher standard because they're famous, they're rich, or what have you. But in the grand scheme of things, people should look up to kids, and not just kids, as people in general should look up to someone who's actually close to them. If you never met Charles Barkley, that's unfair to him to put that pressure on him to be your role model. So, Deshaun, you kind of mentioned a lot of Coach. You kind of mentioned a lot of the stuff that I was going to say. I was just smiling inside when you was talking, because I was like, man, we think alike. So I like that, and I appreciate that.
Hey,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great minds think alike.
Dr. Tim Grant, what are your thoughts, my friend?
Some great comments, and I think when we talk about mentors, I think it's also important, and you guys hit on it, you all did. But when you're looking for a mentor, I think it's important to remember to not put the pressure, as we've been discussing, there's been discussed, right, that on the person that you're looking at, because, and I had a very unique situation because I met some of my mentors in high school, right, that were coaches. They were football coaches. They were vice principals. They were my, one was my orthodontist, right? And these guys were all linked in a way that I later found out. But as I transitioned from being a kid, and seeing them in a coach player, student vice principal role, to then meeting them as adults and then having a relationship with them as an adult, where that relationship that I met and started with when I was younger, and now I got to see, exactly the points that have been discussed. They were still great role models for parts, but I'm still responsible for who I'm going to become, right? And I think it's really a learning point for both the person seeking a mentor and the person who's willing to be a mentor, that they level up on that right away, right? Because it's a lot of pressure, and then it sets up expectations in the mentee. When I learned later on that, hey, you know what? These guys that I admired, I still admired, but guess what? They're human. And I got to see their flaws, and I got to see their shortcomings, their fears, and I learned, and that gave me a different perspective, on them as I got to transition from being 16, 17, 18 to being 40 and 50, knowing these same guys, right? And God, there's so much. That's a whole talk show on that alone right there. But, I think it's expectations on setting up, the mentee and the mentor. And because I saw that, to this buddy's granddaughter that I'm now the legal and financial trustee for, it wasn't me. I found her. She needed a professional woman, that she could connect with, and it allowed me to get her to the right person, and to not think that I'm just because I knew her grandfather and all this, that I was the person that was going to know everything, because I don't.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
That was all of these answered. All of these are great. We're going to take a station break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Rachel. We're going to talk to Dr. Clem. We got Gary Richardson that's asking the questions here. We got a lot of questions actually coming in. But we're going to answer those questions. So, Dr. Rachel, you are next up when we come back from the break. So, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching this on, ask any questions that you might have. And I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do. If you can see it here, you can do it. You might not be able to see it with the physical eyes, but if you can see it here, you can do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do it. You all are the future leaders of tomorrow. I am a leader. I am a senior. I will be one of the leaders of this world. So, if you know yourself, and if you love yourself, you got the confidence, you can share yourself. You can be who you are. It doesn't matter if you short, tall, fat, big, whatever, black, white, pink, gold, purple. It doesn't matter. You step up with confidence. You are a masterpiece. You are leaders.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And I tell you what, as I mentioned in the last commercial, what you're looking at is leaders. All of these great panelists are leaders. And, each one of them bring a different, I call it a secret sauce to the table. Everybody got their own secret sauce. And you're like, well, what, Dr. Cooley, what you mean by secret sauce? What I mean by that real quickly is that we are born with purpose. We are born to be great. We are born to go out and experience and understand what we were put here for. So everybody got a purpose. A lot of times, many of us become stubborn and we become antiquated because we think that we know everything and nobody else. I'm not going to listen to them. No, I got it all here. I know what I'm going to do. No, so everybody become what I call a shade tree attorney. uh, they are lawyer in their own mind. I believe that once we understand that we need to define and find our divine purpose, and we have to surround ourselves with folks that's going to help us get there, but it had to be the right folks.
That's right. That's right.
And I don't want to not stress that enough. Everybody's not a role model. Everybody's not your friend.
That's right.
Surround yourself with people that you trust. If you don't trust them, they don't need to be in your circle. They don't need to be nowhere near you. And I'm going to leave it with that because we got a lot of questions that are being asked right now. And I want to get to this one question that Gary Richardson has. Gary said, I'm from Houston. Have any of the panelists had to step away from a mentee? And if you could, please share. I can tell you that I have worked with a lot of mentees, and a lot of times I have to step away because I don't care what I do, what type of example. It's just like, uh, I ain't going to jail just because of that person.
That's for sure.
I want you, Dr. Rachel, I want you to take that question.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to please put their phone on mute.
Somebody's mentees are blowing them up right now, but I have, but I think it's actually for more of a positive reason than a negative reason. I think sometimes as a mentor or as an active role model, you have to really be aware of where your mentee is at in life and be aware of the fact that the goal is for them to outgrow you. Like that's, you've done a good job if your mentee is ready for another person. And sometimes, especially if you've developed a really good relationship, you don't want to let it go, or maybe they don't want to let it go, but are you really being the role model or the mentor that you could be if you're holding them back from finding the next great iteration of a role model? I think it can be a hard decision. And sometimes, I think we forget just because you're not maybe actively participating in that person's development as somebody that they can look up to, that doesn't mean that you can't maintain a really solid relationship and a friendship that has grown out of that mentorship. But I've definitely had to be the person to say, like, I think it's time, to find another mentor for you, and then do that warm handoff, right? Like, be the person that introduces them to a person that you look up to for them to move on to into that next capacity.
Well thought out answer. That's perfect. Tiana asked a question. Do you think role models provide unrealistic expectations to those who look up to them? Dr. Kim, can you take that?
Yes, I'd be glad to. How you doing, Tiana? Good to see you out there. And the answer to that is yes. In my perspective, roles from all different backgrounds, all different experiences. And also, some role models are experienced in being role models, and some just aren't. When it comes to unrealistic expectations, sometimes as role models, we don't realize that the person that we're mentoring doesn't necessarily have a background that we have. And we try to put expectations on them to get them to do. But they haven't had the groundwork or the foundations to even enter into the spectrum that we're at in our lives. So from that standpoint, some role models may put some unrealistic expectations onto their mentee. And I've done it before. I've done it. I don't know if you consider your kids as as mentoring your kids, but for those of you that have young kids, maybe not, but older kids, you become a mentor to them, and that fathership, that father mentorship, has to change as the kid gets older. And if it doesn't, that equates to some of the unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations. So we're down to the last call, like 4.5 minutes or so. So I'm gonna speed this up as a lightning round. Big Bang 10. So real quickly, 30 seconds to 40 seconds less. How might a shift in the role model values or behavior impact those who look up to them for leadership and guidance?
I'm sorry, James. I didn't catch the first part of that.
It said, how might a shift in the role model values or behavior impact those who look up to them for guidance?
Well, I mean, I think as Dr. Clem was just talking, I mean, that could vary as the mentee evolves and develops and maybe extracts from that particular mentor, all the parts that are solid and good and applicable to what their goals are. I think that exactly speaks to the point about realizing to move on. And it's really incumbent on the mentor not to get so, involved with, being made to feel great, at the expense of really the goal for the mentee, because, I think the mentor needs to keep their head straight, in terms of when it's time to hand off. And that would be my comment.
Wow. Coach Deashan, a lot of people follow blindly, right? They follow the mentor blindly. I mean, not knowing if they're credible or whatever that is. What ethical concerns can arise when individuals blindly follow the actions of their role models without critical examination, meaning that whatever this person says, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm following him. If he said jump off the cliff, I'm jumping off that cliff. 1 minute or less. What are your thoughts?
I think the problem arises with when you put like what they're doing in place of what you find valuable in them. So I'm not going to follow the actions of my role model if they're toxic. Some of the role models in my life, some very good defensive coordinators, I look to gain knowledge and wisdom by what they're doing football wise, and I put that in that category. They're good at what they do in coordinating defenses. The social part, the other stuff they may do, I'm not really interested in that. So I'm not emulating their life, thinking that if I do everything they do, I'll be just like them when it comes to coordinated defense. So I have to make sure to just put things in the proper perspective and follow suit over the things that I'm looking to gain from them. That's why they're in that position. There's something that they're doing that I like, or there's something they possess, or something that creates a sense of me want to know more and intrigue, that I'm going to follow that. But it doesn't encompass their whole and total life.
Wow. We're out of time right now. But after getting a chance to know each and every last one of you, I do believe if your schedule permits, or we need to do a follow-up, or we need to do what we call part 2 within 6 weeks. If you guys are down, and continue this discussion, because we did not get through halfway of the agenda that I wrote. But I think it was absolutely fantastic. And you guys just let Michelle know if you're down for part 2. I want to follow up on this because I think it's so important. And yeah, so please, if you're down for it, let's do it. But I want to thank each and every last one of you for taking the time out your schedule to come on the show and share your ideas, and also help enhance our future leaders of tomorrow and people that are in situational circumstances that they are in today, and with great leadership, great role models, and being able to have vision, understanding, focus can push you way ahead. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting another absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank my marketing team and directors for always being on top of their game, producing great content. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And always, always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your life. And we'll see you then.